Hello, everyone. Welcome to Transform Now. I'm Brad Hairston,
And I'm Michael Marchuk.
and this is the weekly Pulse Chat, taking a look at automation and AI news. So let's dig right in. Michael, first article here is from Fortune, and it is titled 200 Top CEOs Reveal How AI is Already Transforming Their Sectors at the Yale Summit. Now, this was a kind of a composite of stories and anecdotes from the various CEOs that spoke at this event held at Yale, and I thought it was really interesting. A lot of cool stories. You know, to me, it was a reminder that every company is an AI company. I think we say that all the time, but this article really drives that home. So, what did you think just about the stories? You know, what kind of caught your attention, if you will, as you read through those?
Well, I guess my biggest takeaway was that these organizations are really embracing it in ways that will help drive their business forward, both from a profitability standpoint, but also from a customer success and customer servicing perspective. How can we serve our customers better with what we're doing? How can we become more efficient overall? What aren't we seeing because we're not necessarily looking at all the data, but AI can? So it was interesting to see that. And it's across all industries. There's airlines in there. You had a grocery store, Chipotle, my favorite. So talking about, things that they're implementing right now that are actually starting to show real business benefits. So this is beyond the, hey, we should try AI to do something interesting, to actually know that we're actually building a business case around this technology.
Yeah.
Again, AI is a very broad technology, but it's interesting to see how they're looking at this and saying, how can we leverage this differently and actually get some real business value out of it? So I thought it was amazing to see the various stories from this article, because I thought, my goodness, this is not just, technology companies, but as you said before, every company is an AI company now. These are, you got grocery stores and restaurant chains that are leveraging this in very positive ways.
Right. It was quite inspirational. I thought there was definitely a theme, I think, across the stories around customer service and improving interactions with customers. You saw that in a lot of them. You also, I think, saw the emphasis of going, thinking of AI in a more of a horizontal way. And many people mentioned, they're looking at more domain specific, kind of industry specific solutions and large language models and the like. But the stories were great. One of my favorite, and I'm interested if you have a favorite, but one of my favorite was from the CEO of Liberty Media, which owns a significant stake in TripAdvisor. And he talked about a new partnership they have with OpenAI, where they are they're going through testing right now, but they're going to basically use AI to filter through TripAdvisor's over 1 billion user-generated reviews to create an AI-generated itinerary with suggested hotels and activities based on a customer's stated interest and preferences. That sounds awesome to me.
It does.
I don't know about you, but I spend all my time before a vacation reading reviews and looking at things and, getting worried that if something is portrayed in an inconsistent way than reality. And so I think this is great. If AI can solve that for me, I'm all in.
Well, I guess my most fascinating story, I guess, from my perspective, is when I read about Coca-Cola and their CEO.
Yeah.
And they actually put it in a really interesting way, in that, they said basically AI can be used in 3 different ways. One is, the most obvious is internal efficiency. How can we be more efficient using AI internally to the company? Which is like, well, that makes a lot of sense. The second layer was slightly different. Is how can we use our sales data and our partner data to be more effective at moving our product and moving, the products that people want to the locations where they want them. So how do we look at, the market, and how do we approach that in a way? But the third I thought was the most interesting, that is, how do we leverage AI and Coca-Cola brand assets, allow people to create images, meaning people being, I guess, anybody, to create imagery for billboards or for other product stuff, basically extending their brand.
Yep.
So that's what I thought was very interesting about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you mentioned data quite a bit there. I know you're a data guy. That's a really good segue to our next article. Comes from The Conversation, and it's titled, "Can I Take Your Order and Your Data? The Hidden Reason Retailers Are Replacing Staff with AI Bots." So this one talks a lot about the fact that not only can AI accomplish things, faster and maybe with better quality, but you also have this opportunity through AI to gather information, right? To make things more personalized for the end customer. But think of all the data it can capture about the customer, about the situation, about what they're looking at or evaluating, or how they change their order, if it's at a fast food place. So what do you think about this? Have you ever thought about this whole data aspect with regard to AI agents?
Yeah, I have, in a couple different ways. So let's just take the one you kind of mentioned before about, having, especially with the name of the article, can I take your order? And I know several companies have gone to like AI drive-through agents to help support that, that kind of interaction with people. And I think of this in a way that, take it to a smaller scale. If you walked into, think of like Cheers, the bar, the series. You walk in and everybody knows your name, right? And you walk up to the bar and say, "I'll have my usual," right? There's an implicit understanding that, well, the bartender knows you, understands who you are, knows your preferences, and gets you the right drink because you're a usual. They understand you, they know you, right?
Right.
And I think that's where we're coming to from maybe a somewhat more creepy way, but doing it in scale with AI, where AI can recognize you and be able to present you with the things that you'd be looking for or be interested in just based on your past experiences. Now, again, this kind of goes to that, go back to movies and whatnot, the Minority Report, where Tom Cruise walked in with someone else's eyes into a store, and it scanned his eyes and presented them with, "Here, thank you for your last purchase of act and act."
Right.
And obviously he didn't buy that, but the idea was they'd use that data then to present additional things, knowing that past history or purchase history of based on that data they had. So this goes back to our first discussion about data and understanding, well, what happens if you get the data wrong? Are you presenting the wrong stuff? Or what happens with purchase histories, perhaps, that you don't necessarily want? Like, hey, yes, last time I did order this Chipotle bowl when I walked up.
Yeah.
But I don't want that one this time.
Right.
I feel like having something different now. So it's because I did this before or had it before doesn't mean I want to do it every single time.
Yeah.
So that could be something that, working that through in terms of a good customer service, it may look different each time. And I think that's going to be something that that retailers and others using this are going to struggle with. But it is a way that gives them a new way of interacting with their customers.
Yeah, absolutely. So our third article comes from Yahoo Finance, and it's titled, "AI is Replacing Human Tasks Faster Than You Think." So the thrust of this, I think, is, and I'll just read one stat that it talks about, nearly half, 46% of large U.S. firms plan to use AI within the next year to automate tasks previously done by employees, according to a survey of finance chiefs released Thursday. So what are your thoughts on this? I have a couple of thoughts about how this really brings back up the role of digital workers. That's one thing that sticks in my head. Let me start with you. What are your thoughts on this article?
So, I mean, they mentioned a bunch of different stats and a bunch of different things. So the CFO survey is actually a good thing in my mind, because you're not asking the CIO, for example, to look at it from an IT perspective. You're looking at it from a financial perspective. Like, how are we going to be more efficient? How are we going to look at increasing the top line, reducing the bottom line, reducing the expenses so the bottom line is bigger. So I don't want to actually reduce the bottom line. I want to increase the bottom line and the top line.
Right.
But how do you do that in a way that's effective and efficient for the organization? And, statistics can be cold, hard facts for sure. People
Yeah.
are saying these type of things, but the reality is, if you take them at a whole, you may lose some of the granularity of some of the
Mhm.
reasons why they're doing these things,
Mhm.
because oftentimes every company is slightly different in their approach to how they service their market. So even if you take
Mhm.
insurance companies in the same market space, they all do things slightly different and they approach their market slightly differently. So AI for one company may provide substantial benefit or value for the
Mhm.
customers in that group, whereas another one, it may not produce as strong of a value because of the way the processes were already in place for that particular company and the way they service their customers.
Mhm.
So while adding AI and building a different kind of relationship with your customer because through technology could be a good thing, the whole concept of replacing people may be a little bit overstated because it's replacing human tasks, which is something that
Mhm.
we've been familiar with from a
Yeah.
robotic process automation standpoint for quite a while. We are taking the tasks that people actually don't want to do or
Yeah.
couldn't do. So
Yeah.
again, we'll throw the data thread back in here again. Those reviews, those 100 bazillion reviews that TripAdvisor has, people are not necessarily going to want to have to go through all those things to evaluate
Mhm.
and scrub them and validate them and such. But AI can, right? So
Mhm.
taking technology and applying it in a different way can actually provide some really good value in a way that people just wouldn't do because it's too
Yeah.
much of it. So
Yeah.
adding AI could be a really good thing. What are your takes on this?
Yeah, I mean, again, to me, it highlights the importance of giving the AI arms and legs. Most of these tasks that they're talking about that companies want to automate, they're not items that are done once or twice a month. They're done hundreds, if not thousands of times
Yep.
a month or a day, even. And AI, in and of itself, cannot just walk over and start solving that. You've got to have the machinery. You've got to have the conduit or the arms and legs that are going to put it into motion. So
Agreed.
to me, RPA in its base form even is more important than ever. I'm throwing a rock at those people that keep saying that RPA is dead because of AI. They're making a huge leap to embrace AI and think that it can just magically solve all these problems. History has not shown that to be the case, right? Unless you connect it with something that can really do it at scale and also put the right guardrails and things around it. And I haven't even mentioned that yet, but this again brings forward the whole idea of, how do you mitigate the privacy concerns, the data accuracy concerns, the
Right.
the data complexity issues. There's a lot of inherent challenges with Gen AI, and digital labor can mitigate those things and also allow companies to take advantage of it at scale and do it in a very efficient way, as well as bring human in the loop into it where needed, which we know that's going to be very important here in the early days.
I agree.
So
I agree.
really interesting article. I think all three of these were an interesting kind of perspective on what's going on in society today. And that's all the time we have for our Pulse Check. Remember, we publish 2 podcasts a week. One is the Pulse Check. The other one is involving a very, very awesome guest. It's a customer or partner, an author, an analyst. We have all types of guests on. Check it out. I think you'll find it to be very much of interest as well. But thanks for being here, and bye for now.